some things rather interesting concerning the Fracture live event that's going to be kicking off on December the 3rd at 4 PM Eastern, 9 PM UK time, 1 PM Pacific. Now, this is going to be kicking off this Saturday, so in 2 days' time. There's going to be a Chapter 3 finale event, which is entitled Fracture. Now, the meaning of fracture, when you look in a dictionary, basically means pieces of something, or it's like, something being torn apart, and there's pieces that remain after that. So that's really interesting. Now, for those who don't know, for those who've actually tuned into the FNCS event, where all like the professional Fortnite players do their tournaments, there was a part in that where one of the hosts, if you will, was laying down the FNCS trophy on a podium, and in the background there was actually a image that appeared saying or promoting the actual live event itself. Now I'm just going to show you that video in the background of this video, just to give you a bit of an idea of how this happened. And in the background also, there was believed to be a very faintly saying this is the end of this Fortnite map. And Chapter 3 finale means the end of Chapter 3 as we move into Chapter 4. And as you guys can see, currently seeing on screen, this was the more higher quality version of that same image that we got on that big screen at the FNCS event in Los Angeles. On top of this, there's also this image, which I'll see if I can pull up on screen here for you guys, just to give you a bit of an idea. If Epic follows last year's pattern, we should probably get an official event announcement sometime around November 24th, and that was more or less the exact date as when we actually got that announced. Now, for those who don't want spoilers, let's just click away from this video now, just to give a bit of an idea of, I'm just going to give you guys a bit of an idea of what to expect during the live event. However, I'll not be releasing exactly what exactly happens during that event. But as you guys can see, we have 5 major league things that will most likely release in Fortnite Chapter 4 this December 3rd, all throughout Season 1. It's going to be an Unreal editor for Fortnite / UEFN, which is the Unreal Engine for Fortnite, aka Creative 2.0. There's apparently going to be a new cosmetic type, codenamed Apparel, which essentially means clothing. There's going to be writable flying animals, a first-person mode apparently, and as well as motorcycles for transportation. So that's really interesting there. On top of this, there was several images to back this up. I believe we've got a few interesting audio clips as well to show you guys in a few moments. I'm going to try and remember which one is which here. But during the live event, which is codenamed Radish in the in-game files, we'll be able to focus on the 0 point during the event. As per this specific coding, as you guys can see, Radish 0 point can focus. So that's interesting there. On top of this, there is also a rather interesting, these are all screenshots taken from people's videos. Apparently Midas is going to be making a return for the event, as is very likely, and the golden touch needs an organic host, and Chrome is all about organic matter. Jones mentioned a project titled after a loop breaker in the most recent quests. Jules and Midas were the only ones to briefly achieve that. Now, for those who don't know, there was a specific, I think it was some sort of emoticon or spray of some description that actually shows, I think it's called silver and gold. Now, the silver represents the chrome, the gold represents, of course, Midas, who is a Contra Greek legend to anything he touched to gold. Also, technically, during the event, there was an event spoiler, but not a big one at all, so he feels it's fine to tweet. During the Fracture live event, there will be a special emote tab called LTM emotes, and we'll have 2 emotes within it. A high five emote to join the squad, and respect the peace emote to leave the squad. So you get to, because it's taken 40, this is a 40-minute long event, we can expect to give a bit, just to give a bit of an idea of how the live event's going to work. So, as there will be parts to play specifically before the live event actually commences. So that's really interesting. I'm going to take a look at a few other screenshots before I get down to the nitty-gritty stuff. Unreleased locations for a map codenamed Demeter. Now, apparently, we still don't know what Demeter could refer to. It could be the Creative 2.0 map, for all we know. It's in very early development, and it's probably for Survival or Chapter 3. But we obviously know that's not to be the case anymore, so it could potentially be related to Chapter 4. Canoe Shop, Dragon's Maw Cave, Farm, Forest Ruins, Haunted Hotel, Hiking Visitor Centre, Hydro Power Station, Camp Castle, whoops, daisy, and a couple of other things at the bottom there as well, so that's interesting. Also on top of this, there was an actual leak from, I think it was FMBR Intel, if I'm not mistaken. Now what you guys saw during that was a image of what the animation we'll expect to see during the event, and if you listen very carefully, the audio clips that were played during that little bit of footage that we just saw are more or less identical to each other compared to that we experienced during the end event at the end of Chapter 1 Season X. So that's really interesting there. I've also got a few other interesting little screenshots that I've managed to compile together here, guys. You'll be able to have a conversation with all of the NPCs. Some of them will have a glitching effect. During the playlist, you'll also be able to play a basketball minigame, enter the 0 point, eat low gravity rocks, throw snowballs, become a prop, and teleport with the rift. Apparently, either during the event or more likely during the playlist, be sure there will be a few NPCs with one of them being able to give you quests. The NPC code names include Bolt, Bush, Cope, Fisher, Hit, NPC Guard, NPC Heat, NPC Quest Giver. So that's interesting as well. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think this was some of the coding. So as you guys can see, more or less what we're going to expect during the event. So you guys can see we've got stargazing, which I'll come on to in a bit. Bounty hunters, end race tags, so we've got trials of some description, 0 point can focus, which I've just talked about earlier on in this video. Got the pre-show end, pre-show start. Got different quests here we complete involving grill, flamingo, cooler, and chair. Not sure what that could be about. That sounds interesting. Quests involving flamingos, grills, heat, hit, snow alone. So as you guys can see, snow pile, big, small, searching. So we've got a lot to be hyped up for here, guys. It is known to be the biggest live event in Fortnite history. As you guys can see from this tweet from Sentinel Central, you can see if you compare all the sizes for all the previous live events that we previously had in the past of Fortnite, you can see this one is currently at 900 megabytes in terms of its size when you compile everything together. On top of this, I've learned all sorts of new interesting information. For those who don't know, the countdown is currently in-game. I think we've got about 2 days and something or other left before the live event kicks off. It'll probably be down to just under 2 days now at the time of recording this video. Now I'm going to see if I can go through the teasers here with you guys, the ones that we have known about so far. So I'm just going to bring these 2 images up. So I've got the first one right here. Now I'm going to talk about the video teasers in a bit. But as you guys can see, I've got 4 different skins here. I've got Mancake with his, I can't think of the word, the topping, if you will, of his Mancake skin. They're all floating in space. And you will also notice, if you look very carefully, they've even got areas of the actual image in the shape of a number 4. So the 4 on top of the Mancake's hat here. I've got the 4 on the chest of this specific skin. I think it's called Buff or something like that. I've also got a skin here with the legs crossed in the shape of a number 4, and the 4 on the top of the head of the Inferno skin. So that's interesting there. Also in the background, you will have also noticed there's a star. You might be able to see me if you look very carefully at the background of all the stars. So as you guys can see, in the top, I'm going to start with top left. You can see you've got this star right here where my cursor is, and as you guys can see, it's slowly getting brighter. Now, for those who don't know, the code name for the Chapter 4 map is Asteria. Now, Asteria, if I'm not mistaken, I think involves the Greek for stars, if I'm not mistaken, so let me just confirm that. Now, as you guys can see, according to Wikipedia, the goddess's name Asteria, which is the code name for the Chapter 4 map, is derived from the Greek word meaning star. It itself is inherited from the Proto-Indo-European root star to burn. Asteria's name shares an etymology with the names of Astreus, Asteria's first cousin, and his daughter Astrea. So Asteria looks like it's going to probably be that shining star, so the shining star could potentially be the next map coming to Chapter 4 after the live event is over and we start the next chapter of the game. Now, as you guys can see from this piece of footage that you guys are currently watching on screen, let me just turn the audio down on that. If you look very carefully at this footage, you will notice there's an actual piece of footage involving one of the NPCs that goes by the name of Sunbird. Now, if you make your way down to Sunny Steps in-game, which is this area just to the northeast of Lustrous Lagoon, you'll notice there's an NPC, like I say, called Sunbird. Now, you'll see me approach it in this piece of gameplay. And basically, if you look at the actual pieces of speech that she actually says when you communicate to her, she says something rather interesting concerning those stars. As you guys can see, it says, I count, and there are a few stars each time. And may the stars watch over you. So that's really interesting to hint towards this live event as well. Just see if I can find more information on this. Now, as you guys can see, you've got help. Going to be helping the 0 point recover. This is going to be one of those in-game challenges, from what we understand. Find and collect 0 point fragments. So that's interesting there as well. Actually, I've just remembered something that I forgot to mention earlier on about those 4 images. I'll just bring those 4 images back and just back up the stars claim. As you guys can see, I've got the different images zoomed in. So as you guys can see, the star is getting brighter and brighter. So it looks like something could potentially be coming to the island, or we could potentially head in that direction, similar to that of how the meteors came into the map during Chapter 1 Season 4, or something similar. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens there. Now, apparently this is all the information that we have from the in-game files, so this looks really interesting. So you've got abilities, beach ball, blueprints, bounties, camera modifiers, campfire, cannons, chicken coop will be somehow involved, a countdown, crown celebration, I'm not sure what that could be referring to, but that's interesting. Island swaps, so that's really interesting. So to back this up, we're going to be getting a basketball hoop and playing with basketballs, so basketball will be featured at some point in the event. Stargazers, I brought this up briefly earlier, so as you guys can see, you've got Farmer Steel's involved. He's one of the NPCs, if you remember. Stargazer, Milestone, Hit Hard, Grand Cool-Off NPC Quest. Fish Altar, I'm not sure what that could be about, but that's interesting. Arena, probably an area where we can fight against each other, I suppose. IO Guard will be involved. Match Grill, not sure what that could be about. Potentially playing soccer, I suppose. Event Goal, so maybe completing the event, so that's really interesting there. For participating in the event, you actually do receive this, I think it's a backbling, 0 fragment, initiating 0 fusion. So as you guys can see in the centre of this, of course, is going to be representing the 0 point, and we can assume the 0 point will be breaking the map apart and fusing other parts of other maps together. So I think I briefly brought this up in a previous video, but basically what that involves is, if you can picture I'm just going to use this as an example, an Oreo cookie, and one side's chocolate, the other side's vanilla. Imagine splitting that in half and flipping over one of those pieces and fuse back together again. So that's more or less what we're going to be doing, or it appears to be doing, with this event. So that's really interesting. Now, if you may remember, Donald Mustard put 3 banners, was the 3 different looking banners, and when we put them all together, it actually replicates into this image. So that's really interesting. So it looks like the 0 point could potentially end up in space, or we could potentially has something to do with the 0 point in space when we head over to the next map during the downtime. I'm just going to break through a few more things here, guys. Nobody's talking about today's item shop being little teasers. So you got the device music for Midas, the shark glider, the on the hook emote. There's a lot of stuff teasing about the stars, so Sunbird, like I just alluded to, Geometric, Isabel's pickaxe, Lotus Star Wrap, Dark Vanguard, Starcross, Star Flare. So that's really interesting there. For those who don't know, during one of the actual cutscenes or videos that was teased on Fortnite's Twitter account, you will have noticed that one of the teasers actually does feature the Herald's voice, who is acted by Dawn M. Bennett, who is this individual right here. So that's rather interesting. So what else I've got to tell you guys? Just quickly go through a few more things that's been brought up. Shout to the camp in Russia for all this majority of this information. 2 files concern the destruction of the Chapter 3 map. As you guys can see, there's 2 codenames: Short Artemis Destroyed and Short Fractured Asteria Preview. There were 6 stages of the Chapter 3 final event. The 0 point at some point of the event will create or open 2 portals in front of us. Now these could be the 2 portals that are currently lurking above the Loot Lake Island and the place where Shifty Shafts once was. I forget the name of the current POI, but it's those 2 locations currently. On top of this, or furthermore I should say, I've actually learned about a detailed summary of all the minigames that will be activated during the downtime, including basketball, a running race, storyline mode, which we'll either play either before the event or during downtime, bounty hunting, throwing snowballs, stargazing, fights supposedly in an arena, race with scoreboards, soccer, possible time where we can focus on the 0 point, disguise and bonfire. So that's interesting there. There's much more I need to tell you guys and try and run through as much of this as possibly can. With Season 1 it's time to, this is just a concept here guys, with Season 1 it's time to try a refreshing and familiar new look and finally add the option to see the lowdown of your squad members. So that's interesting there, so we could potentially see a UI update there. Now also shout out to Exomius for actually finding these images. So as you guys can see, these were 3 of the images that were found within the in-game files, because as you can see we've got like what appears to be a chunk of the island with a TV showing 43.21 minutes, or 43 minutes and 21 seconds on it, so we can expect to see the countdowns on the actual TVs, which is rather interesting to see. On top of this, we've actually also seen what appears to be a chunk of the land, what appears to be Crackshot's house, being hovered by one of those hot air balloons, which is rather interesting to look at. We've also got a shot of a Christmas tree with a llama on top, so clearly Christmas themed, and we could potentially see Winterfest come into the next map as well. And on top of this, as you guys can see, what appears to be a chunk of snow. These are all images from the in-game file, so this is fact, so that's rather interesting to take note of. Now I'm just going to quickly run through all the teaser videos that we've recently received in regards to this live event. Let's check these out. That was the first one, and the description read for that: a clean camp makes a happy camper. And on top of this, there was also another video that was released, I believe it was a day or so later, and the description reads: it's a race to the finish line. Almost. Let's check this out. Now during the end of that video, you will have noticed that Jules and Mancake were all who are actually both making their way into Chunker Speedway using those whiplashes, and they both are looking up into the sky. What at? We don't know, but it could potentially be related to the Asteria star, or potentially the Chrome Tornadoes, which I'll explain in a moment. The next one involved this speedboat and Midas. So as you guys saw during that Pacific cutscene, as you guys saw, we got Mancake riding on a speedboat. We've also got Meowscles, a few other skins. Midas, who of course will be taking a major part to play in the event, so that's really interesting to see. And as you guys see, like I said before, they're all looking to the sky as something that's about to happen. Description for that video said, a relaxing day at the ... The next teaser was involved in this rather interesting one. Go Mochi, go Mochi, go Mo. Now during that, there was interesting shots of different locations he was featured at. So we've got area of the Rave Cave, the Chrome Tornadoes, as well as the Lighthouse. And during that, there was also a hint or a glimpse of what appears to be either the northmost corner of the map involving that Chrome affected area, or could potentially be related to the little non-landed spot in the northwest corner of the map in Chapter 2, but we'll have to wait and see what happens there. I think we've got a few more to look at. Not that one, it's this one right here. So as you guys can see, what happened here? There's... Now you guys can see we've got another skin who was acting all nervous. He was covering up because he was in the middle of a gunfight. About 10 seconds later, all fighting stopped. He was wondering what on earth happened, and when he went back outside, he noticed there was nobody there at all. It was all like completely dead. Now one thing I did notice during that was he was looking around the corner like that. So could that potentially be a hint, maybe leaning or mounting against different objects? Could that be a new mechanic for coming to Chapter 4? Let me know in the comments box down below. That seems really interesting to take note of. I think I've got a few more here. I've got one called Help, and I think this features a skin I think it goes by the name of Ruby, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So as you guys can see during that, you can see Ruby was actually throwing various different chrome splashes at various different objects, and when she has second thoughts about what's exactly happening, she realises she actually made a fatal mistake. I think we've got a couple more here for you guys. Got this one, I think was the one I was referring to earlier in this video.
Take a moment to center yourself. Focus on your breath, in and out. Run away from your feelings. The end is almost here.
So as you guys heard from that, you actually heard the Herald's voice for the first time, so that's really interesting to see. And you can see the Inferno skin meditating, trying to psych himself up for the event, because he knows that it's actually going to be the end of Chapter 3, so that's really interesting there as well. I think we got this one earlier on today. The description for this one reads, "Nothing ever lasts forever." So I think I briefly covered this. Now, as you guys saw during that piece of footage, you can see we've got a shot of the Chapter 3 map during the initial reveal trailer. We actually got glimpses of the actual cutscene that we got at the end of, or the very, very beginning of Chapter 2, when we came out of the Black Hole event, so we can expect maybe to see a replay of that during the downtime. There was a night in the in-game file, so we are going to get some downtime as a result of this. Then we got a shot of the reality tree, which is rather interesting. And then you guys saw, I think it was Foundation who actually went back into the, was it Jonesy or Foundation? It's difficult to tell. This was during, of course, the event that we had called the Zero Crisis finale, which I think I've still got some gameplay of. Then we got a shot of the Herald, who seems to be in the middle of one of these really large chrome tornadoes that's been terrorising up the island as of late. You can see we've got multiple of these, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe I saw 7 in one image at one point. As you guys can see, fracture. You can see how the actual cracks are actually appearing, or segments. So I expect to see a broken map being torn apart. So that's really interesting. We've also got a shot of what appears to be a base within the reality tree, or in its current state. So we can expect to maybe fight the Herald from the reality tree, which I'm guessing is where all the chroma tornadoes are heading towards. But there's highly likelihood that we could potentially be losing in this live event, but we'll have to wait and see. The official slogan for the live event is "Don't Fall to Pieces." So it should be a really interesting thing to look forward to here, guys. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are. Leave your thoughts in the comments box down below. Don't forget, for those who don't know, the Factory Live event finale will take place in Fortnite on Saturday, December 3rd at 1 AM Pacific, 4 PM Eastern, 9 PM UK time. It's expected to last around 40 minutes. Players should aim to be in the lobby at least 30 minutes prior to this if they want to experience the whole event. Although Epic have confirmed you'll be able to join the event while it's already in progress. Remember that this is a one-time only event, so you will not be able to replay it at a later date. As always, logging into Fortnite yourself and playing a game is the best way to experience it. Should see a dramatic shift in game right on time, so hopping into a match and keep your eyes peeled will serve you well. However, if you're unable to access the game at the exact time, you can always tune into the action online through platforms like Twitch or YouTube through the Fortnite streams. Also, don't miss out on your free Toasty Wrote emote to celebrate the upcoming Fracture event. All players who log into Fortnite from December 2nd at 9 AM Eastern to December 4th at 2:45 AM Eastern will receive the Toasty Roast emote for free. So, hope this guide helped you. If it did, smash the thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget the notification bell so I see more videos. I'll see you next time. Until then, peace.